to my daughter in 20 years. Not a word. Not since the day she slammed the door, and I let her go without turning back. And then, one afternoon, the phone rang, and nothing was ever the same. I was fixing myself a grilled cheese when the call came in. My hands still smelled like WD-40 from tinkering with the old lawnmower that hadn't started since '07. It was a Tuesday, or maybe a Wednesday. At 72, the days blend together like colors in a watercolor painting left out in the rain. Dad? I hadn't heard her voice in 2 decades. 20 years of birthdays, holidays, and ordinary days gone without a word. Not since the fight. The kind of fight where words don't just cut deep, they sever. Anna. Silence. Then a shaky breath. You're not well. The hospital called. You fell. I looked at the bruises on my arms. The swelling in my knees. The ache in my ribs. I had told the nurse I had family. I didn't say we weren't speaking. I didn't say my daughter had every right to hate me. Yeah, I muttered. Stupid step stool. You're coming to live with me. Anna. This isn't a debate. And just like that, 20 years collapsed into one word. Dad. That was the beginning. That one word, weighted with memory, regret, and something that felt dangerously like hope. The first week at Anna's house was hell. I hated her floral couch cushions. She hated how I chewed too loudly. I thought her husband, Jeremy, was too soft-spoken. She thought I was too loud. We danced around each other like two porcupines in a phone booth. But slowly, something shifted. One night, I had a coughing fit that sent me to the floor. She sat with me until the wheezing passed, pressing a damp cloth to my forehead. She didn't say anything when I cried. The next morning, there were 2 mugs on the table. One was chamomile. No sugar. Just the way I liked it. Thanks, I croaked. You scared me, Dad. It was the first time in years she had called me that without bitterness. The days blurred, but no longer in the way they used to. There was rhythm now, even in the silence. Small gestures. Muted words. And beneath it all, something unspoken taking root. The past hadn't gone anywhere. It sat with us at the table. Watched TV with us. Hung around in the air like old wallpaper. But we were breathing the same air now. And that was something. One morning, I caught her watching me while she sipped her coffee, like she was searching for something she couldn't quite name. That's where it really started, I think. Not with a hug or an apology, but with a look. A look that said, maybe, just maybe, we're not done yet. Anna liked routines. I used to think it was just her way of being difficult. As a kid, she wanted the same bedtime story 3 weeks in a row and cried if I changed the voice for the frog. Now, at 36, she measured her life in neat little segments: black coffee at 7 o'clock, emails at 8 o'clock, silence at 9 o'clock while she read the news. And now I was part of that rhythm. Every morning, she'd make coffee and put 2 slices of toast in the toaster. One for her, one for me. She always buttered mine with the back of the spoon, like her mother used to. She never said anything about it, but I noticed. Sometimes Jeremy would join us, tiptoeing around the tension like it was a sleeping dog. He'd ask how I was feeling, nod politely at my grumbling, and disappear into his home office. Not a bad guy. Just cautious. Like he'd read the prequel and knew I was the villain. One morning, Anna placed a photo on the kitchen table. It was faded, corners soft from age. Me and her, in the front yard, she on my shoulders, my hair dark and wavy then, both of us laughing. I found it in Mom's old recipe box, she said. Figured you'd like to see it. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat with a bite of toast. You remember that day? She asked. Yeah. I remember. You dropped your ice cream on my shoe. Cried like the world was ending. She smiled. Not a wide one. But not forced either. You cleaned it with your shirt. I thought that was the funniest thing. That afternoon, I followed her into the backyard. Just a short stroll. My knees complained with every step, but I didn't say a word. She talked about work. About Jeremy's promotion. About the neighbor's ugly lawn ornaments. I nodded along. And then, out of nowhere, she said, "Do you ever think about Mom?" "Every day. I didn't know how to talk to you after she died. I didn't make it easy." She stopped walking. Turned to face me. "You shut down. You drank. You snapped at everything." I was 15 and scared out of my mind. I looked at her. Really looked. "I know. And I'm sorry." We stood in the sunlight, two broken things trying to line up our cracks. She reached out and took my arm. Not to support me. Just to hold it. And for the first time in 2 decades, I let her. The wind moved through the trees like it was exhaling for us both. A few days later, I heard rustling in the attic above my room. Not the usual scurry of squirrels or creaks of an old house shifting its weight. This was human movement, Anna, searching for something. That evening, she brought down a cardboard box. Dented, taped in 3 colors, dust clinging to its corners like old gilt. "I found your birthday stuff," she said, placing it on the table between us. "Cards. Letters. I didn't throw them away. Just couldn't look at them." She opened the flap slowly, like she was unwrapping something fragile. Inside were cards I'd written her when she was small, scribbled in my uneven hand, the ink faded but legible. A lopsided paper crown. A handmade necklace of serial loops. "You kept these?" I asked, genuinely stunned. She nodded, running her finger over a dried smear of glitter glue. "Even the years you missed." I still celebrated. Just quieter. I didn't know what to say. My voice wouldn't work. I just sat there, watching her sort through old paper and old pain. One envelope was sealed, unopened. I recognized the handwriting, mine. "That one came the year you stopped writing," she said. I didn't open it. I was too angry. "Want to open it now?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "Not yet." Later that night, I found her sitting in the living room floor, the box still open. She was wearing the cereal necklace. It barely fit over her head. "You look ridiculous," I told her. "Good. So did you when you made it." We laughed. Not forced. Not bitter. Just laughed. That moment stayed with me. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a crack in the armor. And sometimes, that's all you need to begin again. The next morning, there were pancakes on the table. Burnt, lumpy, but made with effort. "Jeremy's recipe," she said, sipping her coffee. "He's a better cook than me." "Not hard," I muttered. She rolled her eyes. "I'll do better tomorrow," she said. "It's your birthday, after all." I blinked. "You remembered. It was written on every one of those cards, Dad." She got up to leave but paused at the door. "And I'm glad you're here." She didn't look back. Didn't need to. I sat there, chewing a burnt pancake with a stupid grin on my face. And for the first time in a long while, the day felt like mine again. It was a Wednesday when Jeremy's mother came to visit. Elegant, perfumed, with a voice like a polite saw. Linda. The kind of woman who never wore the same scarf twice. She brought a lemon tart and a storm. Anna opened the door, already bracing herself. I sat in the living room, a blanket over my legs, trying to look smaller than I was. "So," Linda said, breezing in like she owned the place. "This must be your father." Her smile was precise. I stood to greet her. "Leo," I said. Nice to meet you. She looked me up and down like a used car she wasn't sure she wanted. Charming. Jeremy emerged from his office, already fidgeting. Mom, do you want coffee? If it's fresh. She took the armchair without asking and crossed her legs. Anna sat beside me on the couch, her spine stiff. So, Linda said again, eyes flicking between us. I hear you've moved in. Temporarily, Anna replied, quickly. Of course. She took a bite of tart like it had wronged her. Must be, quite the adjustment. It is, I said, folding my hands. Silence. The kind that fills a room with static. Then Linda leaned forward, her voice all faux concern. And how are you settling in, Mr. Leo? I met her gaze. Held it. Well enough. Anna makes a terrible pancake, but she's an excellent daughter. Anna's eyes widened. She looked at me like I'd just handed her something heavy and precious. Linda blinked. Oh, she said. How sweet. The rest of the visit passed in fragments, compliments with sharp edges, questions with hidden traps. But I stayed calm. Anna did too. When Linda finally left, trailing perfume and tension, Anna sat back and exhaled like she'd just finished a marathon. Sorry, she muttered. For what? For her. For all of it. I shook my head. You've got nothing to apologize for. She looked tired. Older. Real. She's always been like that, she said. Nothing's ever good enough. I watched her for a long moment. You are. She didn't cry. But she leaned her head on my shoulder. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't flinch. It started drizzling just after lunch. One of those summer rains that sneak up without thunder or warning. I was sitting by the window with a book I wasn't reading, just watching the water streak down the glass. Anna came in with a basket of laundry and paused when she saw me. You okay? Yeah, I said. Just thinking. About what? How many summers the first spent fixing the roof while you were inside reading? How many I missed because I was too busy being angry? She didn't answer. Just set the basket down and sat across from me. You were always up there, she said. On the roof, in the garage, mowing the lawn that didn't need mowing. It was easier than talking. She nodded. I know. The rain picked up. It tapped the glass like fingers drumming a nervous rhythm. You know what I remember most? She asked. That summer you made a swing from the oak tree. It broke the first day. Yeah, but you rebuilt it. Stronger. We used it for years. I smiled, despite myself. It was crooked. It was perfect. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It felt like the kind you slip into when you've said just enough. Later, when the rain turned to mist, we stepped outside. The air smelled like wet grass and nostalgia. Anna picked up a stick and started tracing lines in the dirt like she used to as a kid. You ever think we're too late? She asked. All the time. She looked up. But we're not, are we? I shook my head. We're here. That counts for something. She tossed the stick aside and slipped her arm through mine. We walked in the soft gray of the afternoon, no destination, no plan. Just the rain behind us and a little bit more between us than there was before. It started with a hammer. Jeremy had a shed out back, neatly organized, every tool hung with intention. I hadn't touched a wrench in years, but that afternoon, something in me itched. Mind if I fix the garden bench? I asked him. He looked surprised. Then he smiled. Be my guest. It wasn't about the bench. Not really. It was about feeling useful again. About wood and nails and doing something with my hands that didn't involve medicine bottles or TV remotes. I worked slow. Deliberate. The sun warmed my back, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel tired. Anna came out with lemonade. "Wow," she said, watching me sand the armrest. "Didn't think you'd remember how. Some things stick," I said. "Like the smell of sawdust." She sat beside me on the step. "You used to disappear into the garage for hours. I thought you didn't want to be with us." "I didn't know how to be with you," I admitted. "You didn't have to build a perfect bench. You just had to sit on it with me." The silence after that was gentle. No sting. We painted the bench together. She chose the color, deep green. Said it reminded her of the woods we hiked when she was 10. Jeremy joined us later, handed me a beer, and said, "Looks solid." I nodded. Built to last. That evening, we sat on it, me, Anna, Jeremy. No one said much. But the bench didn't creak. It held us all. And that, somehow, said enough. It had been years since I'd seen her room. The last time, she was 17, and everything was a storm. Posters on the walls, nail polish on the carpet, headphones in, door always half-slammed. Now, it was a guest room. Soft colors, tidy shelves, a faint smell of lavender and something like growing up. She was looking for something, an old photo album, maybe, but she left the door open. And I stepped in. There were still hints of her teenage years tucked away, a concert ticket taped to the mirror, a cracked snow globe from a childhood trip. On the dresser, a small jewelry box. The one I gave her when she turned 12. I opened it. Inside was a bracelet I hadn't seen in decades. Little silver hearts, one missing. "I thought you lost this," I said, turning as she entered. She paused, arms full of books. I said I did. "I was mad at you. Hid it behind the dresser. Didn't want to see it." I nodded. "I deserved that. Maybe. But I didn't forget it. Couldn't." She set the books down and came to stand beside me. "That room used to feel like the only place I had. Where you couldn't get in." "I remember," I said. "I heard every song through the walls." She laughed quietly. "I used to pretend I didn't care if you were listening. But I always did." We stood there, two people in a room full of echoes. Then she reached into the jewelry box and took out the bracelet. "Here," she said, placing it in my hand. "Keep it for now. Just, until I'm ready." I closed my fingers around it like it was made of something breakable. And maybe it was. It was Anna's idea to cook together. "Like old times," she said, though we both knew there hadn't been many good ones. She pulled out an old cookbook, handwritten notes, oil stains, and a broken spine, and opened it to a page titled, "Mom's Lasagna." "We haven't made this since. Since your mother's birthday," I finished. We prepped in quiet rhythm. She chopped onions. I grated cheese. The kitchen filled with the warmth of garlic and something more fragile. Jeremy floated in and out, keeping his distance like a man watching two old musicians tune up after decades apart. "You remember how she'd hum when she cooked?" Anna asked. "Always out of key. I used to think she did it to annoy you." She probably did. We laughed, and something unclenched in my chest. As it baked, Anna set the table. Real plates. Cloth napkins. Candles. "This feels formal," I said. "It is. It's a peace treaty." Dinner was surprisingly good. A little burnt at the edges, but rich with memory. Anna poured wine. Jeremy told a story about work. I actually listened. Halfway through, Anna stood and left the room. I heard her rummaging, then returning with the sealed envelope from the birthday box. She held it up. "I'm ready." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a short letter, me at my worst trying to sound like my best. I read it aloud. Voice shaky but steadying. When I finished, Anna wiped her eyes. "It's not the words," she said. "It's that you wrote them. Even then. Even when you didn't know how to be my dad." I reached across the table and took her hand. "I never stopped wanting to be." The candles flickered. The lasagna steamed. And something old and broken lay between us, still broken, but not untouched. I woke up before the sun. Habit, maybe. Or nerves. The house was quiet in that particular way only a home can be when everyone in it is at peace. Or pretending well enough. I made coffee. Not the best brew, Anna's machine was smarter than me, but it was hot, and it did the job. I sat at the kitchen table, tracing the grain in the wood with my finger. Anna walked in wearing an old hoodie I hadn't seen since college drop-off. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes weren't. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked. "Didn't try." She poured herself a cup and sat across from me. No words for a while. Just coffee and the light coming up slow. Then she said, "You know I was scared, right? When you got sick." I nodded. "Not just that you'd die. That I'd have to remember you the way I left you. Angry. Distant." "You didn't leave me," I said. I pushed. "You just finally stopped leaning back." She looked at me, and this time I didn't flinch. She reached across the table and touched my hand. "I think I wanted to be angry longer. But you keep messing that up. I'm good at that." She laughed. Short. Soft. "I don't know what we are now," she said. "We're here," I said. "We're still trying." The sun broke over the fence outside. Golden and warm. She took a sip of coffee and smiled over the rim of her mug. "Then I guess we're doing okay." And for the first time in 20 years, I believed her. It was almost fall when I realized I didn't want to leave. The leaves had started to brown. The air was crisp, the way it gets before sweaters return and soup matters again. I sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket Anna insisted on buying me. She joined me, 2 mugs in hand. 1 chamomile, 1 coffee. She handed me the tea without a word. "You know," I said, "when I moved in, I thought this was the end." She looked at me, quiet. "But it wasn't," I continued. "It was the start of something I didn't know I needed." "You're not dying," she said. "You're living." I laughed. Coughed. Nodded. Jeremy came out, sat on the step below us. "You two planning to adopt me, or is this a closed club?" "You bring snacks, we'll consider it," Anna smirked. He disappeared inside and returned with cookies. We sat in the chill, passing them around like communion. "You ever think," I asked, "how strange it is that life brings you right where you started?" Anna looked out at the trees. "Not strange," she said. "Just right." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the bracelet. Still missing a heart, still as delicate as the day I gave it. "Think you're ready?" I asked. She took it. Fastened it around her wrist. "Yeah," she said. "I am." The wind picked up. The trees swayed. We sat there, the 3 of us, not as broken people anymore, but as a kind of family. And for once, I didn't need to fix a thing.